There are 4 ways of working with AI as developer. Most of developers are stuck on level 1 or 2. Today I will show you all 4, and the 4th is the best one because it tripled my latest sprint output. Welcome to the Engineering Shift. Hi, I'm Krystian. Over the last 2 years I've tried everything, starting from using ChatGPT, copy-pasting code, to parallel agents orchestrations. And the results have been consistent. For 90 story points planned as a capacity, I delivered 68. So it's not one-time spike. And what I have found, the way how you work with AI falls into 4 distinct levels. They all are valid. They all have their place. But the results are widely different. And sadly, most of developers are stuck on level 2 without realizing that there are 2 levels more. Let me show you all 4 ways. You will be able to find out where you are and where you want to go. Okay, so let's start with level 1, which is the most basic. To realize what is level number 1, we have to move to the web browser. For me, it will be a web page which is claude.ai. It's where you can find a chat application that is using models coming from Anthropic. In this case, I will focus on Sonnet 4.6. What I can do here, I can ask AI model to write the code for me. So let's do it. Please generate a JavaScript code for name and surname as inputs. Okay. It's not very specific, of course. So let's find out what will happen. Okay, so what it did, it generated a function for me and also gave me example. Also, it's very proactive because you can find even how to use it inside of HTML. And of course, I could ask for explanations about the code or add some enrichments over here. So let's do it. Please give me explanation about and also add some prints for all inputs and outputs. Okay, so it gave me the explanation that I was asking for. And now it should modify also the body of the function because I asked to add some prints. So it decided to add some console log statements over here. So this is how you actually work when you are on level number 1. So you prompt the code generation, then you copy generated code, open your editor, in this case might be Visual Studio Code, have a file somewhere like this one, code.js, let's name it like this, right? And then you just copy paste and that's it. To focus on level number 2, you have to be aware that you need Visual Studio Code or similar editor. And if you will just install Visual Studio Code, you will be able to find out this Copilot window. You can open it by clicking this chat icon in the top right, and then instead of prompting on the website, you just write the prompt over here. So this is the approach. And of course, I don't like Copilot very much. I really love Claude models, Claude tools, Claude Code. So what I did over here, I just installed an extension dedicated to Visual Studio Code, which is called Claude Code for Visual Studio Code. I would recommend to install it if you are going to use Anthropic models. When you will install it, then you can open another chat window, but this one is not dedicated to Copilot, but to Anthropic models. This is Claude Code for Visual Studio Code. I will just paste the prompt. As you can see, it's exactly the same. And now I will add something more, instruction to add the code directly to the method2 folder. Okay, now we have to wait a little bit. So what it did, it created a code.js file. Let's find out how does it work. Okay, we have some require instructions over here. I create interface. Okay, it's a totally different approach. So what I can do now, I can make it a little bit simpler. So I will instruct AI to do that. I would like to have something much more simple, like a function body. For example, to use in the HTML. This prompt is not perfect, it's not very specific, but we are not going to learn how to prompt in this episode. We are going to recognize what kind of levels we can have when it comes to the AI tools usage for developers. Okay, so let's find out. Yeah, now the output is much better. This is something that I was looking for. And I also can ask from explanations. Okay, so this is the way you can develop. And this is, of course, level number 2. It's, as you can see, it's much more efficient when it comes to prompting inside of coding, inside of your coding tool, instead of using web-based chat. It's really good for very simple things that when you have to apply the code change directly or doing it ad hoc in your code base, that approach is very good because it's not overwhelming. It gives you results really fast, and for bug fixing might be the perfect choice. Okay, so we got level number 2 behind us. Now let's move on to level number 3. Instead of using a chat in the web browser or using chat in Visual Studio Code by doing simple thing, we will describe something much more mature. This approach is mostly based on a spec-driven development where you provide a specification and then you control what is the specification, you ask AI to implement it, and then at the end you do the code review. And today I'm going to show you the simplest way of doing such an approach without any libraries or frameworks. To do that, I will need a different approach. First of all, when I start with the specification, I need to describe to the AI what I'm going to build, all right? So this one will be stored inside docs folder. And now I'm going to create a file that is like a blueprint for me or MVP guidance. And I'm going to build something really simple here. So to do that, I need to create a blueprint file. So it's like my contract with AI about the idea or about what I'm going to build, etc. To do that, I will start a new chat and then I will just start brainstorming. Hey, Claude, I just want you to help me decide on what my app should have inside, which features. I want to have a really simple app, so let's brainstorm with me. I was thinking about JavaScript code with nice, simple UI interface for providing name and surname and combining it together. Give me some ideas on how we could implement it. Let's discuss. Don't write any code or do anything without my approval. Okay? So what I'm right now doing, I'm brainstorming, let's say, with AI. So I'm building an idea for my application with together with it. So what you can see, it already suggested something like a basic concatenation, the first name and the last name, right? There are format options, UI style ideas, minimal to input card with result display below. Okay, fun extra, still simple. Generate a random avatar, initials, badge alongside the name. Copy button gives the visual feedback, copy it, and a small history of recent combination. That's very nice. So I can actually, what I can do here, I can say, I don't like those idea, for example. That might be one of my answers, but I can also say that I like those, but add something more, or maybe discuss something more. Let's do something more together. Like it's no never-ending topic. We can discuss as long as we will find out the right application and the right features that satisfy me. Those are alternatives, but right now I'm going to keep it simple, right? So I will write down another prompt. I like your ideas, but for copy button, I would like to see fireworks. Right now it's preparing some propositions, right? CSS only confetti, custom canvas. Okay, so here are the options. Okay, so I can, it's trying to give me some options, some ideas how it can be implemented. So I can say, I like confetti more. Let's discuss the technical resolution later. Okay, now write this as blueprint into MD file, which will be a base for other AI sessions for development. Now it's time to wait a little bit, writing down the blueprint. In my opinion, I give answer yes, because it asked me, does it look good? And I said, yeah, it is. Okay, so what we got, we have a blueprint over here, right? So it's our first step. It can be one business idea or maybe multiple business ideas for starting a new feature in already existing application, or starting totally a new application from scratch. So I can review it, I can ask it to modify it. It's like something for me that I can rely on. Okay, so let's assume that we had really heavy discussion and our context window for the AI is running low. You don't have to care about it for now. This is something that I will tell you about in upcoming episodes. But believe me, for after having a really long discussion, it's really a good practice to start new chat conversation. And that's the reason why Blueprint is so important, because I want to continue working on something and I don't have to repeat the same requirements. And the Blueprint file is something perfect for me. Okay, so now we are going to decide on the specification. So I will give it some more prompts. Be my software engineer and architect. Please look into Blueprint, which is my idea for the app, and give me some options for technical stack and implementation, and give me one recommendation. Okay, I'm looking for a shortcut over here, and AI will do some brainstorming. It will think about some options on how we can implement things over here. So I don't have to, think about it, because I can delegate that work to the AI agents. And you can see how it thinks, like what kind of options it's proposing over here. So we have option number one. It's like a simple HTML with CSS and JavaScript. The other option is React and Svetel, right? So recommendation is option number one. And what you can do, you can just decide that this is not enough. I want to have more discussion. I want to talk about some improvements. You can also point out your technical requirements. So in this window, I will end up this conversation and ask to create technical stack MD file. Please write this option number 1. Please write this into the stack MD file inside of free folder. Okay. So it's going. When we will get it, it can be our architecture of the application. It can be also technical resolution. It can be tech stack, all like also some constitution about the domain, etc. There's plenty of things that you can decide on this level, number 3, because it's a flexible way of working. You provide specification and you do it in a flexible way. You can create your custom files because you don't use any framework over here, right? This is the blueprint. This is the tech stack. I can read it out like by pressing Command Shift V or Control Shift V in Visual Studio Code to make it a little bit more pretty. So there is like a proposition how it can look like and what is the tech stack as I was expecting to have. Okay, let's move it because I would like to keep docs inside in one folder. So we got blueprint, we have tech stack, and let's assume that we were doing hard things and we used AI session heavily. So another good practice is just to start another window, right? Another fresh session. Of course, I don't like to bypass permissions because it's not safe. That's one of the options. I don't recommend you to use it. That's the reason why I switch over here. Now let's move on to the implementation. But spec-driven development is different. You first have to specify what are you going to build. And you cannot jump directly to coding because then you won't get the best results. Of course, it makes sense in some cases. For example, when you develop a really small feature, like a really small code change, it doesn't make sense to write specification files inside of markup files, review them, then ask AI to implement it. That's like overkill. You don't need it. You only need it when you work on something bigger. And now we are acting like my application would be much bigger than it is. So the next step would be to specify the implementation steps, right? I will give it a prompt. Be my lead developer slash architect. Take blueprint and tech stack inside of method free folder and generate specification for tasks slash subtasks. One orchestration main task and multiple subtasks for smaller features. Okay. It's very simple approach. The command might be a little bit more complicated, but I'm just showing you like the simplest way of starting using this approach. So let's take a look what's happening over here. It should generate some files, but now currently it reads my blueprint and tech stack file. Just small comment from my side. I ask it directly to create specification files. You can do it in a different way. You can start your discussion about what kind of files should be created for tasks. And after, when you will have an agreement with AI on what should be built and how tasks should be described, then you can at the end ask AI to create markup files for tasks and subtasks. And I love the subtask approach. It's like good for implementing very intensive coding, because then you can decide on how you would like to separate the execution by AI agents. I will show you in a moment. First, let's take a look inside of this specification file. There's like 6 subtasks, even for such a simple application. That's a lot in my opinion, but it gives us a really good insight on how we can handle the implementation. There is a confetti animation, clipboard copy for combined name and surname. Okay, let's say that I don't have any request to change anything over here, but with spec-driven development, you have to understand that you have to know exactly what's inside your specification, because if you will rely only on luck, then it's not spec-driven development, it's vibe coding. You have to review what are you giving to the AI as a specification. Otherwise, it might be trash. So if you will put trash into AI, at the end you will receive trash. There is no other option. So it's like a mandatory, obligatory task for you to review it. You can do it with AI, but you have to know exactly what is inside specification file. You have to review it, every specification file, one by one, if you want to do AI engineering, not vibe coding. So we got it. Let's assume that our session was very long. It took a while. So again, I will follow good practice. So I will start a new chat window again with fresh AI session and context. And now I will ask it to implement our application. Okay, let's do it. Please read all files in method3 folder, including print and tag, and implement tasks and subtasks inside of tasks.md file. Use main AI session for task orchestration and run subtasks inside of subagents. That's very important. Why subagents? Claude will just take main task, understand it in the main AI session context window, and it will spawn subagents. Every subagent will get a separate task, separate subtask, and it will start a new AI session with clear context window. What does it mean? The context window is how much information you can put inside of AI, more or less, in very simple and basic words. And when you put a lot of data over there, you degrade the quality of the output. So you don't want to have very long conversations, because then you will get not the best results, not very accurate results. To avoid that, you can use subagents, because every subagent, when started, receives a fresh context window. When the job is finished by that subagent, it reports to the main agent that orchestrates the whole implementation. So that's the trick. If you want the best results, you cannot use the same context window inside of one AI session, because you probably will exceed context window and you will destroy your accuracy. You want to use subagents for much bigger tasks in your project. Okay, so we got this information over here. At the end, found Subagent to do a code review and create readme MD file with instructions on how to run the app. Okay, it will take a while, but let's wait. Okay, what we can see over here, it reads blueprint, of course. I always want to use my blueprint because it gives a new AI session a full understanding of what we are doing here, right? Then the tech stack is also something that increases the accuracy, and the tasks is like the true meat, like what has to be done, right? So as you can see, it just have spawned two agents, right? They do some work. When I will open this catalog, probably I will see something over there, right? Okay, so we already have two files. Probably they are not finished yet, but we can probably see something over here already, right? That's true. I can review the style also, but okay, that's not it. Let's wait a little. Now, what it's trying to do, it's like a modifying the HTML file. It's building the main.js file. It should appear on the left-hand side in a moment. Okay, it created all the files. The last thing is the README file. Let's wait a little bit. Okay, what we have here, like a nice summary. Files created, 4 files, like a code review findings. It not only implemented like a code using Subagents, but it also did a code review, and that was crucial, like to ask to do it in Subagent. Why? Because if you do the code review inside the same session, AI session, it's already polluted with some ideas. So it's not the best approach because AI agent will give you feedback that will be not 100% correct. But if you start a new AI session with fresh context window, ask it to do code review, then your results will be much better. Remember, never ask AI to do code review in the same AI session that was used for the implementation. Otherwise, the code review quality will be much worse. You have to do two things. There are two options to handle it. One option is to ask AI to spawn sub-agents to do code review. Then it will create a sub-agent with totally fresh context window with the fresh session. The other option is to start another chat window and then instruct the AI to do the code review because it automatically starts new AI session with fresh context window. I asked it to create README file, so let's take a look how to open it. Yeah, so I can just how to run it. No npm installs required. The plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So what I have to do here, I just have to open this file over here, and yeah, maybe let's do it. I will reveal it in Finder. Okay, so we have a input first name, last name, and then copy. And we have confetti. Beautiful. Okay, let's get back to the Visual Studio. Spec-driven development, as I said, is for reviewing specification files, ask AI model to do the implementation, and at the end, which is very, very important, it's your obligation to do mandatory task to do the code review. Because if you won't do this, you will not be doing AI engineering, you will be doing vibe coding, and you can introduce technical debt into your project. Never do it. Always do code review. No matter if you do spec-driven development, you always have to know what your agent is doing. Without it, it's just a vibe coding. If you want to be AI engineer, you have to do code review. Okay, and that's level number 3. Now let's start fresh. We will use a different approach. The next level, number 4, is also based on spec-driven development, but with using frameworks. GitHub Spec Kit. Okay, we got it. To use it, you have to go over here to the GitHub page. You have some instructions how to install it on your machine. I will just install the latest one. Okay, to install it, I need to copy this command because I'm going to install it in the project that already exists. So let's find it and let's type it. Yes, I'm going to create. I'm on macOS, so those scripts are I am looking for. And okay, so it's installed. I have some instructions. So first of all, you have the constitution. So you can have your project principles about contracts, about validation, about domain. This is not mandatory, but it's very helpful. In this video, I will just skip it. You have the spec kit specify, create baseline specification, and then you have a spec kit plan command to create implementation plan. So more or less what we have done with our flexible markup files. And then we can create, out of the plan, we can create tasks for implementation. And then we can do like this, spec kit implement. Yeah, so that's it. Okay, so let's move on to the Visual Studio. As you can see now, I have a new catalog in a new folder inside of my project, and those are the files dedicated to GitHub Spec Kit framework for spec-driven development. And I'm going to open my Claude Code window. And what I'm going to do, I will just once again create docs. In this case, it will be here. I will copy the blueprint and I will copy the technical stuff because I already decide on that. So I don't want to do it again. Okay, and now what I'm going to do, I will create a prompt, a spec kit command. So I will do like this, spec kit, specify, and now I will ask it go to method 4 and okay. So that's it. It's like doing some investigation about it. You have to still remember, we have to review all the outputs that will come out of this command. Okay, you have to know that GitHub Spec Kit is heavily using Git, because every time you will start creating specification for feature, it will create a feature branch for you, and all the specification that will be done will be placed inside specs folder with this subfolder over here. Okay, so as you can see, it's going. Yeah, so as you can see, it's done. So your first task, mandatory task, is review the outcome. So first of all, you go to the spec MD and you have to review all the specification file over here, right, to understand what has to be done. As you can see, a spec kit framework divided the specification into two user stories. One is the live name preview, and the second one is to copy combine the name with celebration. So we have two user stories. We also have functional requirements. In the past, something like that was called like a business or a system analysis. Yeah, remember, always review it, always apply corrections if you will find out anything is wrong. Because if you will just let AI do the implementation, you will burn a lot of tokens and not get the best results. Okay, so here it is, and there's another things like a checklist, what AI was having in its mind and what was actually took under the consideration, right? So all the analysis dedicated to the specification file. Now let's get back to the chat window. There are instructions like a specification for this 001 method for spec feature was prepared. So we got the specification. What we have to do now is to execute the clarify and spec kit plan. Clarify is used when you will find out anything inside of your specification file that is requiring a clarification. So you need to provide more details. Currently, if you will take a look on this one, there is no needs of clarification because you have the summary over here, so we can just skip it and then we can go to the plan. Right now, once again, the best approach, the best efficient way to do it is to start new AI session, right? And then do like this, Spec Kit plan. Okay, and you will find out that it doesn't require any argument. Why? Because currently it's like it can recognize on which Git feature branch we are currently at. It will recognize exactly what has to be done, which specification file should be taken under consideration, because if you would like to use more and more SpecKit framework over here, you will have more features under specs folder. Currently, we have only one. So the one that you used for the last time, to specify, it will create a dedicated feature branch inside of your Git repository. And when you will execute the plan command, it will take that feature for which the current Git repository is checked out as a branch. Now let's wait a little. It's going. It takes some time. Okay, we have first files. First of all, you have to check this one, data model. First of all, you have to find out like what is the plan, right? So this is the first file, but it's not finished yet. So let's wait a little. But meanwhile, while it's working, we can do some review, which is of course mandatory for us. So we can here have some summary, like a technical concept for that, more or less the valid one. There is a constitution check also, documentation, okay, and there is like a proposition for source code. That's perfect. Okay, so more or less this is the plan. You can also find out how AI was doing a research to create a plan. So we have decisions about vanilla JavaScript over framework and Canvas confetti, clipboard API, native, no, polyfill, okay, that's nice. Okay, live preview, a lot of things like and now when you have to review it, find out if this is what you're looking for, change those files. If something is wrong, you can do it manually, or you can start discussion with AI and change it by asking AI to do it. You don't have to do everything manually, no worries. Okay, so we have the research. We also have data model, which is very nice, because if you would implement something more complex like a database, API, etc., all the contracts for those will be listed over here. Okay, we have also diagrams. That's really nice. And also we have contracts, UI contract in this case. Okay, behaviors, copy. Okay, yeah. Edge cases. As you can see, it's like a much more rich analysis done for our app. There is like more things that was analyzed by AI, which is very good. Okay, and now there's a quick start, right? With some guidance about what we are building and how to run it, etc. All the technical conventions over here. That's really nice. And there is acceptance checklist. Okay, perfect. Okay, so at the end, we still have the summary, and we have the next thing, instruction to be executed is the spec kit tasks. Let's do it. Currently, I'm just doing it by simple execution. And the other option is also to provide some information inside of our Spec Kit framework outputs that we would like to implement by Subagents, and that can be also taken under the consideration. But in this video, I just want to keep it like a simple and short to show you how to do it well, okay? So as you can see, AI is analyzing all the files inside of our feature folder. And now the only thing we have to do is just wait. Okay. Meanwhile, I will close the window. Currently, we are executing a tasks command, so it will create tasks that should be implemented after. Still waiting. It's reading task template MD. It will apply the template. It's generating tasks MD. So this is something that we are looking for. It's generated. And of course, now our obligation is to review it. We cannot just leave it, right? So this is the instruction, what has to be implemented, etc. Right? Priority, copy, combined name, polish, cross-cutting concerns, dependencies, and execution order. Perfect. Okay, let's take a look on the summary. Okay, generated tasks. Okay, perfect. And now let's follow the good practice. I will provide information like a spec kit. This time it will be implement. Okay, now as you can see, it also gives us a nice UI showing on what is currently under the implementation process. There are already 3 files over here. We are waiting for another tasks to be completed. The first one is already done, so we are waiting for more. Okay, it's going quite fast. I think we almost got it. I'm really curious how it's implemented, so let's open it. And, this is the file, right? It's quite simple. We have also the style over here, which is currently okay. And we have main.js. Okay. File confetti. Nice. Okay. Let's wait a moment to let the AI finish its work. Okay, perfect. We got all the information over here. Okay, and what it does currently at the end, it updates the tasks MD because tasks were created. So it will just mark them as done, right? Okay, this is the one, another one, and we should see an update also on those tasks. First one and another one. Okay, yeah, here it is. Yeah, so yeah, meanwhile, I think we can start looking for this index HTML file. Let's just wait for the confirmation. Okay, it even creates git ignore, which is nice. That's nice. Okay, so implementation complete, files created, nice summary. To run, we have to open this one. There are 2 options, so I will copy it. I'll open new terminal window, navigate to our folder, paste it. Yeah. So let's find out. Here it is. Okay, copy. Ta-da! Perfect. So as you can see, this is totally different approach of coding. It's level number 4. It's based on spec-driven development with the framework, so it gives you much more deeper analysis, and also you can control more what is the input for the AI agent to be implemented. Next video, I will introduce Claude Code more. so you will be more advanced of using Claude Code inside of terminal, and also find out how to manage and orchestrate your agents in a better way. Subscribe so you won't miss it, and drop a comment on which level you are currently at. I will reply to every message. This is the engineering shift.